海外华人直播的朋友们，大家好！今天是2020年11月14号。今天我们在温哥华 downtown， 采访一些朋友。那我们现在看到一个老外问他一下，他今天为什么来这个活动 ？Hi, good morning, sir. I just want to know why you come this event.
Hi, and I had an email from a friend from Hong Kong, and they said that there's a pro-Trump rally here, and I thought with all the election fraud that this is a good time to show support.
So, what's happened about USA election?
That's a good question. It's the biggest story in North American history, and the mainstream media isn't covering it. You know, the election fraud is very real. That's the biggest story in history. And, you know, whether it's 1 vote, 2 votes, or thousands of votes, if not more, the evidence shows that it's thousands of votes of election fraud. So that is something we have to look at. Whoever won, the fact that any election fraud to that extent exists, that's something we need to look at. And Kathy McVeigh, the White House press secretary, she produced an affidavit, 234 pages of affidavits of sworn testimony about voter fraud. The voter turnout in Wisconsin, 89.49%. That's 25% more than any other year. That's 25% more than any other district. So when you have an abnormal of votes cast in one area, that points to voter fraud. Plus the percentage going to Joe Biden. You know, usually it's 50-50. Republicans were requesting mail-in ballots, but when you have 87% to 100% of the mail-in ballots going towards Joe Biden, that points to voter fraud. All the documentation of the thousands of dead people that voted. How did a dead person request a ballot, and how did a dead person send a ballot in? This is huge voter fraud, and this is I mean, voter fraud, throwing an election anywhere, especially in North America. I mean, that's what wars are fought over. You know, it's a violation of democracy.
Why Canadian concerned American election?
Oh, because of Dominion Voting. The Dominion Voting is a Canadian company with ties to Venezuela. Their software has flaws, glitches. Dominion Voting ran an election in Nova Scotia, and because of a glitch, there were huge problems. So this Dominion Voting software, we need to reject that company in Canada because it is, you know, this kind of the Dominion Voting software has a script where they can flip the vote. Like why would you do that? Why would you have that in there? It's not a bug. It's an option. They can just flick a switch and flip the vote. This is a Canadian company with ties to Venezuela. We need to stop doing business with this company.
You mean Canadian also use this software and machine?
Yes, that's recently came out. Trump did a tweet. Mayor Giuliani, he did a Instagram video, but there's also local independent media sources that show that Dominion Voting is a Canadian company with ties to Venezuela, and they did an election in Nova Scotia, and there was glitches, software flaws. There was the worst election that they ever had as far as integrity. So this software is being used in Canada. It shows that it has problems. It's been used in the United States. It shows it has problems. We've got to stop doing business with this company.
Why you support Donald Trump?
I didn't at first. I supported him over Hillary. I thought he was a little bit redneck, you know, building the wall. I'm for immigration. I'm from Vancouver, and I live in Surrey. We're multicultural. But right now, as Brandon Straka and Candace Owens, the left is so far left they've become Marxist, and the left has been hijacked by an extreme left, and they've become Marxist. And Marxism is not good. You know, I mean, after the war, we all know that fascism is bad. Well, after the war, we saw Berlin Wall. You know, communism is the same thing, right? So communism is bad too. So this is important. We have to oppose that.
Do you think in the future it will happen in Canadian election, or how we can prevent this event?
Oh, that's a good question. Preventing election fraud is pretty important. You know, we saw in Nova Scotia, in Canada, this company erred. And now with its ties to Venezuela and the options to flip the vote, you know, one of the ways that we can prevent this happening from Canada is by stop doing business with this company. And but not only that, is any company has to be accountable. That's why I have huge problems with electronic voting. I support the ballot. The old-fashioned. You count the ballot. You have a record of the ballot. So that if there's a controversy, you can go get the ballots and recount the ballots with observers. That's safe. All this electronic stuff. We all want to be digital, but this tap and vote thing can easily be rigged.
But today, we know one fact that Biden, they refuse people like a supervisor, to watch, to count it.
Yeah. The advisors were they still can have advisors in, but you have to stand 30 feet behind. And finally, the court overruled that. But that's another example. That's dodgy. That's fishy. That's corrupt. Observers need to be over the shoulder so they can see this signature matches. There was another person that said, "Oh yeah, I wrote in 9 signatures on 9 different votes and it was accepted," right? So, that person's admitting to voter fraud, but also, that's why observers look over the shoulder so they can see the signature matches, and that the counter isn't just discounting Trump votes, throw them in the garbage. And this is important because it goes both ways. Because if it's going towards a Republican candidate, they don't want just throwing, Democrat votes in the garbage, And this voting software, I mean, that's how Biden could have been elected, because it looks like Hillary Clinton has been using the software, and Joe Biden won over Bernie Sanders, perhaps because of this software.
Do you know any one of those protesting people? Those people? Do you know? Or you just come here?
No, I know a few. I don't know if they want me to name their names publicly. All my friends with the Falun Gong and the Hong Kong movement, they're obviously afraid for their lives. They don't like their names thrown out. I'm grateful because, here in Canada, I'm free to speak. But I've seen some of the atrocities. We know about the organ harvesting in China, and a lot of people that come here. I mean, that person that did that video, the letter from, it's not Manessa or that whatever, the prison camp that was exposed, he sent a letter about the Halloween decorations. The person that was in that video, he was killed, right? So a lot of people are afraid to give their names. But I know quite a few Falun Gong, and I know quite a few of the Hong Kongers that have been protesting. They're passionate people. They're good people.
So, do you have any media friend, or do you have any media, or do you publish any website or blog by yourself?
Yeah, I do. I run the Gangsters Out blog. I've been doing it for 10 years. The 2 websites, gangstersout.com and greenjustice.ca, they point to the Gangsters Out blog. I've been doing it for 10 years. It was about the Vancouver gang war, mostly about the Hells Angels' control of the drug trafficking. But we kind of branched out into political issues. I also know Drea Humphreys from Rebel Media. Rebel Media is one of the few independent media here. Right now, Post Media News has taken over all the local newspapers. And as soon as Post Media News took over the National Post, they ran an article saying that Chairman Mao did wonderful things. Well, that's like saying Adolf Hitler did wonderful things. Post Media News is worthless. So right now, media, there is no integrity in the media right now. Independent media is the only media that we have.
So, like Twitter, Facebook, all those big media, sometimes they block and they filter the voice. So, independent media is very important. And do you have any idea to promote your website or blog, or do you want to let people, do you have any email address or phone number to let people to contact you?
Yeah, my email is letfreedomring@hotmail.com, and like I said, gangstersout.com and greenjustice.ca is the website. But as far as promoting myself, I don't. I have a job. I just do it on the side. Google buries me. YouTube censors, Twitter censors. It's tragic. But the censorship is very real, and it's very sad. But it is what it is.
So you said the Canadian law is freedom to speech. So do you use any? Do you want to remind anyone who want to publish their voice or idea like you? Do you want to wake up the people?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, like you said, you have to be careful because YouTube will kick you out. BitChute works. You have to be independent, and it's like talking about censorship. I used to get a lot of traffic, so I can see where traffic comes into my blog. I used to get a lot of traffic from mainland China. I still get traffic from Hong Kong, but all of a sudden now from mainland China, I get zero traffic. I have a lot of friends in Falun Gong, a lot of Chinese Canadians. They're good friends, but all of a sudden zero traffic from mainland China because my blog is blocked in mainland China, and we're afraid of them doing that here, blocking blogs. That's free speech is really important. It's the Canadian Charter of Rights. It's the U.S. Constitution, and it's really a threat right now.
Okay, thank you for you come here and speak out. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
拜拜。好，这是刚才接触了一位采访的一位加拿大朋友啊，他们有自己的一个 blog， 然后呢，他也说他的 blog 也被封杀了啊，有的时候是被 Twitter 啊或者是 Facebook， 他说这个加拿大也是受到这种情况。另外还透露一个信息，就是加拿大也是用美国的某一个软件，就是美国的那个软件可以人为的调低的那种软件这个就是他呢呼吁大家要注意，比如说在加拿大在有个叫做Saskatchewan， 那就是我们萨省这地方也是有同样的问题。好，这里是海外华人直播，我们始终不扮高深，我们力求直播传真。好，我们这一个第一阶段的播送到此结束，我们后面还要给大家继续播出如果你没有给我们点赞和订阅的话希望海外华人直播的朋友们支持我们。现在我们看到远方也有警察，刚才呢也有一波开汽车过来的打着各种招牌的一些人，现在我们看到可能有车队要过来了。好，我们现在看看这些车队吧。这地方看到感觉是有一个车队过来。好，现在我们请各位观众朋友给我们一些点赞支持我们。这里是海外华人直播，我们始终不扮高深，我们力求直播传真。这地方的朋友我们可以看到外面天气还是蛮冷的。这地方远处呢，我们看到有加拿大的国旗，台湾的国旗，还有新中国联邦的国旗，还有很多加拿大的国旗。好，我们现在过来给大家看看直播。这里是海外华人直播，我们始终不扮高深，我们力求直播传真。我们现在看看这些一路过来的朋友。我们看到车队已经过来了。现在我们在温哥华的一条主干道，这主干道是一个非常有名的一个商业街的旁边。我们现在采访的地址是在温哥华艺术馆有一个广场广场门口。现在呢有一个车队正在过来我们看到他们车队的朋友上面有不同的标语。这里是海外华人直播，我们始终不扮高深，我们力求直播传真。好，又来一辆车，这可以看到车队上的每一辆车子上都有旗帜或者是 banner， 都有一个个的挂的一些条幅好，我们看到这些条幅是整齐划一的。这里是海外华人直播，我们始终不扮高深，我们力求直播传真。好， 我们看到很多人，自媒体也在这张展示出来。现在我们在，车队过来了。好，这里是海外华人直播，我们看到车队，鱼贯而过。在这地方是走走停停，在这地方特别减速下来。这地方也引来了一些外国朋友的关注，他们摇开车窗，来看到这辆观察这辆在抗议什么东西。好，我们看到这边车队连续有几辆后面的车队大家可以看到一大堆都看到排得非常长上百米的车队都有。我们看到车队缓慢的有序的正在开过来，也可以看到他们在我们打喇叭在这样致敬。他们向我们在致意我们这辆也是冷飕飕的在外面，确实是非常温哥华的天气是非常冷的所有的好。海外华人直播的特色就是最新、本地，还有直播。好，他们在不断的打示意。然后我们看到有很多人在这个好，我们第一个阶段暂时播送到，然后我们在后面再近距离的再给大家直播。各位观众，给我们点赞和视频的右下方这个正方 subscribe 我们的 channel。好，各位观众，感谢你的收听收看，拜拜。